was born and brought up in Sunderland, and nothing sort of outstandingly different really. I went to school, I was lucky enough to get a good education, got my, at the time, which is dating me now, O-levels and A-levels, and then I got a place at, it was Oxford Polytechnic at the time again, this is sort of dating here, it's now Oxford Brookes. So I left when I was 18, purely just to sort of further my education really, and I've had this, 30 years, which I can't quite believe, of being away, not really expecting to come back, although obviously I've come back very frequently because my family's still here, my mum and dad are here, and so I've always sort of kept in touch and regularly visited. And I never thought I would come back. There was sometimes little thoughts that I would have of perhaps coming back at some stage to live. But it was the book deal that just made that decision instantly for me. As soon as they said, right, we want you to write 3 books, and they had, we were very excited about the setting, which was Sunderland, and about the period and everything. So as soon as I got that deal, I said to my lovely husband, we're moving back up north. I've tried to put it nicely. I said, I'd really like to move back up north, and I think it would really do the books justice. I said, and as a writer, I feel like I need to be back here. As soon as I came up here, my learning curve was absolutely massive in all things Sunderland. Updating myself on what Sunderland's like now compared to what it was like when I was 18. Never mind then learning what it was like back in the 1940s, which is where the books are set, and researching all of those things, which how badly the town was bombed, and everything at the shipyards. So yeah, huge amounts to learn and to take on board. The other thing that I learned was my mum's family were shipbuilders. Nearly all of them worked as platers, and very tragically, I did know this, but it hadn't kind of sunk in when you're small. You're told these things and they don't really mean much to you. But my grandfather, who obviously I never met, he died in a shipyard accident, very tragically. And his father, before him, also died in an accident in the shipyards. And there's my mum and I were looking at the museum during my research, and we found this big sort of placard of the Revell shipbuilding family, and all of a sudden I realised that I had this great shipbuilding heritage that I didn't really know anything about. I had no idea that women worked in the shipyards, and certainly no idea that they worked in the shipyards during the World War. Both World Wars, actually, although mine's obviously set in World War II. I did find that the women also worked in the shipyards during World War One, basically because there was a desperate need for workers, regardless of their gender. And I think at the beginning of the war, when things weren't too, people, it was still called the phony war, wasn't it? When it wasn't too sort of, people weren't too that incredibly worried. There was a little bit of a push against having the women in the shipyards because they felt like they would take their jobs when the men came back from war. They wouldn't have these jobs to go to. So, but then I think they realised things became so bad, and the seriousness of the Second World War, it was a case of, no, we need these women, we need them be doing the men's jobs, which they did. But there's very little written about it anywhere in the history books, even on the internet. I could only find one sole article that just mentioned, by the by, 700 women worked in the Sunderland shipyards during World War II. And they weren't just doing jobs as in clerical or even cleaning, they were doing welding, which is what the women in my book do. They were also doing riveting, which is incredibly hard work. There's 3, obviously, third one published today, Thursday, 21st. There has been 1 and 2 already published out there, and it is a continuation. So I always try to say to people, if you're going to read them, try and start at 1, because then you really sort of enjoy them, but you can read them all, separately. They are sort of, can be read standalone. I've just written book 4, which is called Shipyard Girls in Love, and I'm just about to start on book 5, and there's at least another 2 in the pipeline, but yeah, possibly more.